Hi, and welcome to the Reiki from the Farm podcast, brought to you by me, Pam Allen-LeBlanc from Hidden Brook Farm. I am a scientist, a businesswoman, and a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training. Each week in this podcast, you'll be entertained as you learn about a wide variety of relevant Reiki topics, helping you become a more knowledgeable and effective Reiki practitioner. We caution you, though, this podcast may also dramatically improve your life, and we are so happy that you're here. And so I'd just like to welcome everyone to this month's podcast and this week's podcast and this month's Reiki Share. As I mentioned in a few past podcasts, the animal communication class, for those of you who've studied that, there is a manual almost ready. I still haven't found the time to finish that up, but I hope to do that soon. And that I'll be dropping that in our private Facebook group once it's ready. And also we'll be putting a note in our newsletter. So for those of you who have studied animal communication in the past, I'd like to make that manual available to you. That will hopefully be ready in the very near future, maybe next week or the week after. I also wanted to let everybody know that at the suggestion of my campaign team, I've moved all of my October classes to online classes. And the main reason is that I actually need to start teaching on the day of the election, just to make sure that I can get my classes in before my duties start, should I be successful in the election. And my campaign team tells me that I will be exhausted. And so I know that managing just online or just in person is a little bit easier mentally than teaching hybrid classes. So at their suggestion, I've moved the October classes into an online classes in an Atlantic time zone, but I will be teaching Reiki level 1 and 2 and masters. These are both licensed classes that qualify you toward professional membership in the Reiki Membership Association. And I'll also, thank you, Munikai, and I'll also be teaching the classes of Animal Reiki level 1 and 2, and also Animal Reiki Master. And that'll be really fun in October after being busy with a campaign. In November and December, I've got some animal communication level 1 and 2 and 3 classes. And the level 3 classes are offered twice. They're offered once in an Asian time zone or a European friendly time zone, and also once in an Eastern time zone. So if you are wanting to take your animal communication to the professional level, have a look at those. I also have a Reiki level 1 and 2 class, and Animal Reiki 1 and 2 in early December. And in January, I will be moving to a lot more weekend classes in anticipation of fitting them in between time in the legislature. So you all know that, yeah, yay for the level 3. And Em says, when you are successful. So that's awesome. Thank you, guys. So before we get too much further, though, I'm just going to invite everybody to bring your hands into Gasho for a moment. And we're all going to activate our Reiki energy. And today we're being guided to step into our soul's purpose, whatever that may be, and just discuss what that looks like and feels like. Before that, though, I've been guided to create a spot for Ask Me Anything so that you can ask anything at all that you wish to learn about Reiki. And so we just invite all of your symbols and all of the Reiki energy to flow through you now, moving into your bodies. And breathe. And your soul's purpose is known or is evident to your soul. And so I invite the Reiki energy to flow through you, enveloping you, surrounding you. And just imagine your own personal energy moving in close to you now, close to your body, skimming your skin, so that all of the projections and expectations of others and any energy that you might be holding or carrying on behalf of others just drop away. And just letting go of your cultural conditioning. Because each of our soul's purposes are uniquely our own. And they don't need to respond to other people's energies or wants or wishes. And if there's anything attached to us, any energies that are not our own, we release them now, along with any cords and connectors, any sources of their power, any of their assignments, and all of their effects, and any residues that they may have left behind. And we declare ourselves sovereign in our own bodies. Take a deep breath now and just breathe in the sovereignty. And just allowing the Reiki energy to connect with your soul's purpose today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank you. Namaste. Now, I let the folks who are here with me today know that just moments before the Reiki share, my guidance very clearly let me know that I was supposed to open it up and invite people to ask me anything. And a lot of the people that are here with me thought that was a fantastic idea. So I'm just going to open it up and you can ask them questions in the chat, or please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Lynn has a question. She's going to teach her first class. Yay, Lynn. So happy for you. But you're having issues with electronic payment. So, as far as insight about security, so Lynn, I actually have found PayPal to be the most secure and easiest way that people from all different countries can pay. Here in Canada, we also have something called email transfer, which is also very secure. And I've heard of a lot of my American colleagues that use Venmo and some other methods. But I found PayPal has given me absolutely no issues whatsoever. And it's also really easy. If, for instance, I don't normally offer refunds, but if I have to cancel a class for any reason, like maybe only one person or two people signed up or something like that, I can really easily refund people and I don't actually lose anything. It just, PayPal does allow for that. So if you want, go ahead and check that out. One of the other things that I love about PayPal that you may want to wait until a little later on, but you can actually also create subscriptions with PayPal where people can make payments. And although Reiki classes are absolutely worth every dime and every dollar that we spend on them, and they're probably worth 10 times what we spend on them, coming up with a lump sum can be difficult for a lot of people. I knew it was for me. And so just allowing people to spread that out with a really reasonable payment, it can be really easy to set up. So that's my vote anyway. So I hope that helps. And it's Animal Reiki. Awesome. That's actually such a fun class to teach. Anybody else have any questions today?
Pam, could I ask one? This is
Uh,
Tara.
yeah, absolutely, Tara. Go ahead.
Um, So I'm excited for you and I wish you all the best in the election. That's here before you know it, right?
It will be here before. I'll tell you a little bit about that. Yes, it is.
So I have a couple questions. When you're doing like a Reiki circle,
Yes.
okay. So what's the difference between a Reiki circle, Reiki share, and you do a meditation or a guided meditation, or you're sending Reiki? And this is the other thing that I get so confused with my left, right brain. But when you go into the circle, do you open it or close it at the beginning? And open it or close it at the end? Because they both make sense to me. So
Both make sense. They do. So, you know what? Like Reiki Circle, Reiki Share could all be the same thing. It's just an opportunity to get together with people who have Reiki. And so, just creating any kind of Reiki Share or Reiki Circle is wonderful. Now, my Reiki Share isn't really a share as much in the sense that you could have several different types of Reiki Share. You could do what I do, which is use this for an opportunity to teach and share a meditation, just because that's what I love to do. And there's always new information coming available that I love to share with you. It's not really a share. I probably should call it a Reiki circle instead. But originally, when I set it up, the idea was that we would all get together and share Reiki. And then I just couldn't help myself. I started teaching in these. And so it became an opportunity to touch base with you all and teach some more after classes and in between classes. You can also have the type of Reiki share where people literally just share Reiki with each other, and you can do those in person with Reiki tables set up. And those are quite lovely as well. You could also do them with online where you put people in breakout rooms if you have a lot of people show up. So it's very easy to do. And even when we only did in-person Reiki shares, I still started using them to teach and just share all new information. So mine morphed very early on, but you can have either style or either type. And you could even share a meditation and then have people go and share Reiki with each other to allow everything to integrate. There's no real limits on that. It's just an opportunity to all get together. I love how you asked the question about the circle because it was something that really played with my left and right brain as well. Um, when you start a class or you start something like this, we create a circle regardless, and we actually start sharing energy when we just come together. There's an expression that I am aware of from the Christian standpoint, which is whenever two or more shall gather in my name, I will be there. And it's just, I think that anytime we come together, more than one person, to work with source or spirit, whatever name that we use, Allah, whatever name, we create a synergy. Our being together creates something else, something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. And and that can include coming together in class. Anytime there's two or more of us, it's important. Things happen, things shift. We tap into this synergy, this energy. And when I first started in the licensed teacher program and had Colleen Benelli as my mentor, she talked about the importance of closing the circle before beginning class. And you can do that in a variety of ways, having people introduce themselves and where they're from, which we now do on the chat because there's a lot of people here, just to keep us within respecting everybody's time. And in a class, there are a bit less people usually. So sometimes you have time to allow people to introduce themselves and say why they're there. You could also use a prayer or an invocation. These are all ways that you can bring people together to form that circle, that group. And what happens is our energy touches each other. And I know we call it a circle, but it's not like my energy is only touching the person on my left and right. It's touching, I think, what is there, 30 of us here today or 25 of us here? It's touching everybody. And your energy is touching everybody. And so it's a circle, but there's zigzags in there. And it just, I don't know, it creates this beautiful thing. I felt that was opening the circle, but over time listening to Colleen, she called it closing the circle, when we bring everybody together, and then opening the circle at the end. And you can do that in a variety of ways. Usually it's a little bit of a prayer or a meditation. And usually you're saying thank you, or you might say Amen or Amin, Ashe, Shalom. And so it is something along those lines, but you're consciously thanking the enlightened beings, the brothers and sisters of the light, the divine animals who are here with us, and then opening again the circle. So I always used to say open at the beginning and close at the end. But over time, I started to understand what Colleen was saying when she said she closed the circle, she brought it together, and then at the end, she opened it again. So I hope that answers your questions, Tara.
It does. I just have one other question too. So if I'm
Sure.
having a group like of seniors at the senior center and want to do like I know I'm teaching a mindful class. I'm so excited.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
but how do you, if I wanted to give Reiki to start or to the group, I know I can put it in the room. I know I can send it to the session. None of them have Reiki. So
Mhm.
what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can share Reiki with people who don't have Reiki. People can even be here in the Reiki shares if they don't have Reiki, and
Right.
they can just send loving intentions, and that's a really nice way for people to get used to the energy or used to feel it all around them and so on. So the thing that I do when I'm working with a group that doesn't nobody has Reiki, and I do that all the time,
Mhm.
I actually just draw the symbols in the room, either in
Okay.
my mind or if nobody's around with my hand. And I might chant or sing or say the symbols. And sometimes I use the distance symbol and send them ahead of time if I'm like at big venues, like when I do talks at Equine Affair and things like that, or Reiki retreats or Omega. And so I just send the symbols all
Okay.
around the room and I ask them to work with whoever wants to work with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And I do have one more question. So on the animal communication, so
yeah.
there's one, two, and then the three, which I did with the professional, but I thought you were talking about another one.
I am talking about a master teacher class.
Master teacher, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, and I had hoped it was going to be ready in the new year, and it still might be, but so much just depends on this election.
Okay.
It's
No,
been
no
so
worries at all. Just
overwhelming.
wanted to check in. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Pam, Monica here.
Yeah, Moody guy.
I have a quick question because how did you go from being scared of technology to be this technological maven with all these this Reiki shares and and newsletters and everything? How did that happen?
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? I was terrified of technology. I wrote an article about it because when it was time to move classes online, I had actually heard when I was in England getting the guidance to write the Reiki business book, I also received guidance that I needed to get over my fear of technology and my reluctance to use it. And so it was COVID. I realized, wow, people need help. And if I'm going to be in a position to help them, I have to get over this. So you know what? I did what I always do. I just turned it over to Reiki. I just said, first of all, I could break technology just by being around it. And I have done so on many occasions. So it was above my pay grade to figure this out. I could not figure it out on my own. And I just said to Reiki, if I'm supposed to get over a fear of technology, you have to help me because I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how to use technology. So I really surrendered it to Reiki. And we're actually going to be talking about that tonight. And once I did surrender it to Reiki, it was so interesting because I had been guided to buy a new MacBook computer before I went to England and just followed that guidance. And I see a question in the chat about the guidance. Susan, you were asking, how do I experience the energy guiding me when I say the energy is very clear? It's a very similar, Susan, in the same way that I learned animal communication. I learned to listen to the same way I learned to listen to animals back in 2009. Reiki opened up my ability to listen to my guidance as well and to hear the Reiki energy itself, to hear my guides, I've always been able to hear source, but the rest of it really opened up in 2009 with Reiki. And I guess it taught me to listen. And so while I was listening in England, and it said about learning the technology or getting over my fear of technology. I thought I might as well start now, and I did my first ever Facebook Live. But once I got home, William Rand had the same thought. I was shown, and you're to teach your animal communication because I had to cancel two animal communication classes. One, I was going to go and teach it in Ohio while I was presenting at the Equine Affair there. And then I had one scheduled a few weeks later here at the farm, and they were full. And the energy said, "You're not going to cancel, you're going to teach it online." And I had no idea how to do that. But William Rand, a couple of days later, I told people, this is what we're going to try to do if you want to do that. If you don't, I'll send you your money back. Nobody wanted their money back. They all wanted to stay in the class if I was going to be able to figure that out. And I did let them know it would be a later date. And William came back a couple of days later and said, "Hey guys, we're going to move Reiki classes online." Now, when he did that, he went and worked diligently with the energy for 2.5 weeks about getting the attunements strong enough so that they could be passed on online. But he and Colleen also developed a meditation called Empowered in the River of Life, was what it was originally. Now it's evolved to Empowered in the River of Peace. I find, Munikai, that within that particular meditation, it will align you with technology. And so I'm not perfect with technology, but the things that I need to figure out, it really aligned me. And on top of that, there was a little piece of advice my husband gave me, which is when you can't figure out how to do something, go to YouTube, go and look it up, and there's going to be somebody to explain to you how to do that thing. So that was where I found out what all that I needed to do my podcast. And then I found a course that helped me figure out how to do my book and how to, so I do just whatever I need to learn. And like AI, I love AI. I use it a fair bit with my campaign and just different things that I have to do. It just helps organize my thoughts. I still use my own thoughts, but I use AI to help put a structure to it, which is really helpful. So I found that really aligned me with technology. And then I just started learning one thing at a time. And the other thing that I did was I often promised something before I was ready for it so that I had to get ready for it. So I promised a podcast on September 25th, first, how many, 4 years ago, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And on at midnight, September 24th, until I was till 3 in the morning before I got anything produced. But I did do it. And then I said, look, the full podcast, I got the introduction out. And then a couple of days later was able to figure out the introduction. And the same with the class. I wasn't really ready to teach the class, but I set the date, and that meant that I had to get ready. The same with the book. I set the date, and that meant I had to get the book ready. So that's how I did that. I hope that helps.
Thank, I'm sorry. Thank you, Pam. I got to run. Got to do a lot of things for today's Isui's birthday and everything. And greetings, everybody. Nice to meet you. And so, yeah, looking forward to talking to you again, Pam. And of course, looking forward to what's coming up for us in November. Ah!
I know, right? Oh,
Okay.
thank you,
All right.
Munikai. Take
All right.
care. Bye. And so, yes, Munikai let us know that in Japan it is Yusui's birthday, August 15th today. I have a question from Val with regard to the spirit release technique. It says to give yourself Reiki and surround yourself with holy fire prior to the session while the client's lying there. How long should you do that for? And can you do the technique on yourself? Yes, I do spirit release technique on myself all the time. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's something that we teach at the master level once you have holy fire. So don't worry about it too much until then. And usually, like just doing Reiki on yourself, it's like usually 5 to 15 minutes, Val, something along those lines. Yeah. Susan said closing the circle feels like creating a container, which, yes, that's exactly what it is, Susan. And there's a question, what symbols would I send to a garden to help grow and protect the plants, I would use all of the symbols that I had, Ella. All of the Usui symbols, the power symbol, the mental emotional symbol, the distance symbol, they can all be helpful. If you have the master symbol, holy fire, they're helpful. Karuna Reiki symbols are helpful, and tree of life with animal Reiki is helpful. So I would just use all the symbols that I have. And I want to let you know, with regards to a garden, if you actually place seeds in your hands and give them Reiki, they've done scientific studies, scientific tests, and the seeds that receive Reiki, they can take two identical seed packets. The ones that receive Reiki not only tend to have better germination, like more plants that germinate, but the plants themselves are incredibly strong. So that's a wonderful time to do that. Talking about spirit attachments in gardens, did I stumble? You're having constant issues with pests in the garden and house. And Cam's just wondering what I would use aside from animal communication and regular sessions. Could there be a spirit attachment to a place? So, Camille, yes, there could be. So, definitely just see if spirit attachment work would be helpful. But one of the biggest things that I find when there's pests in a garden or in a home is I actually look up the meaning behind that particular pest. As an example, I had a friend in the Caribbean who called me and she said, "Look, I'm renting a place and there's rats, and there's so many rats, and there's the smell of rat urine, and it's just awful. And I can't get rid of them because it's the Caribbean and they're everywhere." And she asked what to do. And so I was guided to tell her to look up what the definition of rat is in the animal Reiki. Sorry, not animal Reiki. There's a book by Stephen Farmer called Animal Spirit Animals, I believe it is. And there's a pocket guide to spirit animals as well that I carry with me, and I even put it on my phone, my Kindle. And she looked up, and usually it's if a rat shows up, maybe it's one of these six things, or if an ant shows up, it could be this, or whatever you're dealing with. So I asked her, do any of those meanings make sense to you? And they did. And I said, okay, so tell the rats, thank you. You heard their message. And then decide what you're going to do in response to that message, and then ask them to leave. So she called me up a couple of weeks later and she said, they haven't left. And I said, which message did you take from it? And she told me one of the messages really rang true. And I said, what did you do about it? Did you do something about the message that the rats brought you? And she said, no, I didn't do anything about it. I just thanked them for the message. And I said, okay, you heard the message, but you didn't do anything about it. Maybe make a decision about what you're going to do about the message. Tell them you heard it, what you're going to do, and then ask them to leave. And as soon as she did, they left. So that's my suggestion whenever pests show up. And Lynn says after animal Reiki, you have a lot of animals and bugs, and you had to tell the skunk he wasn't welcome to go outside of the fenced area. So yeah, that sometimes happens too. I don't mind spiders. I enjoy spiders, but I've really got too many in my house right now. So I do sweep them up usually and take them outside, and I do have to do a little relocation right now. Any other questions, you guys, before we move on to our main message this week? Thanks.
Actually,
Oh,
I
go
do have
ahead.
one question. I know the business summit or whatever's coming up,
Yeah.
I don't know how you sleep or anything because you were just going so much. So I do want to say, please take care of yourself as well because you're just going.
Yes.
But besides that, I'm sorry, I'm being a mother hen. Besides that, are you planning on doing like a business type of class? I know you had the marketing one, but any of your other type, are you thinking about that in 2025? Is that even on your radar at this point?
It is on my radar for 2025, but I won't set anything until after October 21st. But thank you for the question, Lynn. The reason is I just I don't know how the election will turn out and what life will look like. And
Okay.
so I know that I have to, obviously, if I don't win, it's simple and I can book a class.
We're not going to even put that out in the universe. We're going to say, when you're so busy, how are you going to fit it in?
When
We'll
I'm so
leave it.
busy, how am I going to fit it in? And I will fit it in. It'll be just when. So I think I definitely will have something again by next June, but I'm not sure if I'll have anything before that because the legislature sits from November until June. And yeah, so I'll
Okay.
be,
Hey, I'm happy that I'm so excited that about the animal communication 3, because
yes.
I was not able to do that the last time because of work. So I'm
Oh,
excited about that. So thank you for squeezing that one in.
it's my pleasure. It was so much fun to teach, and everybody seemed to get so much out of it. So I'm really excited to fit it in. And I taught animal communication to over 40 students in Asia, North America, Europe, and Australia recently in 3 different languages simultaneously. And I had to be on my toes for that. It was a challenge, but it was so much fun and got me really organized. So I will have the 2 classes because those Asian students would like to have the level 3 as well once they practice for a while. I'm so glad that I'm able to fit those in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Susan, you had a question.
Hello, this is Susan in Los Angeles. I have a share, brief share first, and then a question. I just wanted to share in case there's other people who are going through times like this also. I have been going through such a difficult time, and even just saying that brings up this emotion, and it's been tumultuous. It's been like times of highs and lows. It's like being tossed along the bottom of the ocean when you get caught in a wave. And got the message recently that this is happening because you are moving into a new place, into a new era of your life. It's like you're leaving all the old behind and new is coming in. And it feels so right on. And it answered the question for me of why do I not feel connected to Reiki, to my guidance, to anything? And it's because everything is being changed over. My question with that is if there's any things that you've done in your life when that has been the case for you.
It's a perfect lead in to what we're talking about tonight.
I thought it might be. Something was telling me you have to say this before she does her thing. I even pulled over because I'm driving home. So there we are.
Wow. No, that's exactly what I want to talk about tonight. And your description, it's exactly where I was last year. And I think that, yeah, and as soon as you were describing it, I was like, oh, she's going through a big change. And I think also what you described can be seen in the culture around us politically. Like there's how many elections this fall? It's not just Canada and the United States. There's elections right now this year happening all over the world, and
Mm-hmm.
people are saying that they want something different. And I think that they're going to get something different, but it feels very tumultuous in the meantime as
Mm-hmm.
as things are happening. So I think you just led me perfectly into what I want to talk about tonight, Susan, if that's all.
Okay, perfect.
Let's move into it then. Because it actually, I don't know if we're going to stay to this title, but initially the title that came through was Navigating Surprises and Soul Visions Under the Supermoon. It's about Carpe Diem, seize the day, and embracing your destiny. So basically, what I wanted to talk about is how we can embrace our destiny in a calm, considered way at the same time as we step into it and we seize the day, carpe diem, and using our dharma and how Reiki can really support all of that. So August for me has been all about revisiting my past. July was just super busy, exhaustingly so, actually, especially with my father-in-law's passing and Breaker Dawn and so on. And so August is completely different. It's been completely different, but it's been a lot about revisiting my past. And if we think about it, that's not surprising. If any of the rest of you have been feeling that, there are 6 planets, I believe, in retrograde at the moment. Just last weekend, I had my class reunion. Yesterday, we had our 25th anniversary here at the farm. In addition, tonight I am entering a Hay House book contest with a book submission. And I've done that before many times, but it's very different this time. On top of that, tomorrow I'm going to the Stanley Fair for as the Green Party candidate, but also I've been attending the Stanley Fair since I was a child with horses and showing horses there. It's one of the places I got one of my first red ribbons. And then reminiscent of last year, this time, because last August we heard a rumor that we were going to be, or end of August, early September, that we were going to be going into a snap election. Now there's more election rumors. It's been all about looking back at things that have happened in the past. And I don't know if any of you have been doing that or have been guided to do that, but I'm going to invite you to think about some of the important things in your life that have happened and just do a little mental review of them. Because tonight we're going to talk about how to step into the future, at the same time, how to handle the surprises that life throws at us and stay grounded. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the powerful energy of the 8/8 supermoon and how it can also guide us to follow our destiny as well. And so before starting the class, I was still like, is that what we're supposed to talk about? I'm not sure. And I decided I was listening to Warwick Schiller's podcast and his interview with Kim McElroy, who Kim is the artist with Linda Kohanev's The Way of the Horse cards. And she was talking about how that process all came about and so on. And I was thinking about all these things and what I was going to talk to you about. And I was like, but are we really talking about soul's purpose? What I was just asking for a bit more clarity. And so this is the card that I pulled for you, number 37 in this card deck, which is the Messenger. And what it is, it's so funny. So as I told you, I was trying to figure out, are we actually talking about soul's purpose? Now there are, I don't know, I think 40 some cards in this deck, and I choose card number 37, which is the Messenger. So what the messenger is about is creativity, divine guidance, and protection. I'm like, okay, so maybe that is to do with soul's purpose. I don't know. But then you read the meaning of the card, and it's this: a higher source of wisdom taps well springs of inspiration and energy, connecting you more deeply to your soul's purpose. Now, you can't make this stuff up. There's that told me for sure, yes, you're to talk about soul's purpose, even though I received the guidance to do an Ask Me Anything. And the challenge behind connecting with your soul's purpose is that you have to be willing to ask for help and also to embody the wisdom and power of the horse. So I knew for certain that we were on track with soul's purpose. And I also think society is moving into their soul's purpose. And I'd like to share with you, and I know I've shared it in the past, but I can't help it. I actually have this on my bedroom wall in Campobello. This is a quote from Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love, Reflections on the Principles of A Course in Miracles. And this is my favorite quote, maybe in the whole world. And it's this: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So this week, as I'm reflecting on my past, and I'm trying to decide whether to send in another book submission to Hay House. I have an opportunity to do it. And it caused me to think back to the very first book proposal that I submitted to them. I was so nervous and I was so out of my comfort zone. And I was feeling so raw and vulnerable stepping into that path, that purpose, that I actually submitted it at the very last minute. I held up our holidays so that I could get it done. And then I ran out and threw up in the toilet after I submitted it. And I started thinking, oh no, what if they don't choose my book? Oh no, what if they do choose my book? And I couldn't figure out which one was worse. Now, since then, I've sent in several, probably 6 book submissions to Hay House. And each time it got easier. I only threw up the once. But each time I was a little bit nervous and a little bit attached to an outcome. And then something happened this week that I've been shifting like you have been, Susan. There's been a lot going on, a lot of discomfort in the shifting because there is often discomfort in the shifting. And so this week, when I submitted my book proposal last August, I actually won honorable mention, even though I didn't realize that I had. I looked at it and saw that I didn't win, and I deleted the email. And it was only a month later when they sent me feedback and congratulated me on winning honorable mention that I dug out that email from my deleted box and discovered, oh, I won honorable mention. Holy smokes, that's amazing. And I realized that last October, when we were in the midst of the premier threatening to call a snap election, and we were trying to get the election team together, and some of you will remember it was just a really difficult time because I was stepping into that, which was brand new, and I was stepping into it with a sense of panic and urgency. I realized that if at that time I had read the email properly and known that I had won honorable mention, or heaven forbid, if I had won, I think my brain would have exploded. And I just think it's funny because now I'm getting ready to send another submission. I went out and recorded the video today, and I felt completely calm and cool and collected about it. My submission may or may not be chosen. It doesn't matter. I'm fine. I'll be publishing the book no matter what. And now there's another rumor circulating about the election date being moved up from September to August 30th. And I just think it's so funny because last year I couldn't have handled that. It would have thrown me off balance. This year, I'm just saying, bring it on. And I also realized that if I did get a book contract, it would be happening around the same time as I find out whether or not I lose the election. And I'm perfectly okay with winning both of those things or losing both of those things. It really, I know I can handle both of them now, where I couldn't have before. So the energy was just showing me that when we're growing, it feels odd. We're off balance. We feel vulnerable. And Linda Kohanov, one of my favorite horse authors, talks about the fact that great power exists in vulnerability. When you can allow yourself to feel vulnerable, really amazing things can come from that. That always happens when you're stepping into that new life path, that purpose. This week I recorded my video for my campaign, and oddly, even though it's the first time doing that, the energy has shown me that all the podcasts I've done with you guys, with people that I feel comfortable with and love and trust, have really prepared me for that. And I just got this sense of destiny. Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm supposed to be sending the book proposal in. So I'll do it. I'm just wondering if any of you can think about a time in your life when you were going for something important and it felt difficult, or when you felt vulnerable. When we were purchasing our farm 25 years ago, the lady we purchased it from didn't move out when she said she was going to. And we felt so vulnerable. We had to move, we had sold our house. We had to move all of our things into storage. She decided to move out at a later date and not to honor the agreement that we had made. And she was 81 years old, and we didn't want to make life more difficult for her. And besides that, what could we do? We could take it to court, but it was going to be August. We were supposed to move in July 1st, and instead she said she changed her mind to August 13th. And she did have a right within the contract to do that. And if we'd asked her to honor the new contract that she had signed with us, by the time we took it through court, it was going to be August 13th anyway. So we wound up, and we didn't want to do that to her. So we wound up putting all of our things in storage, moving into my sister's basement with our 1.5-year-old for 6 weeks before we finally got the farm. And even on the day that she was supposed to move out, she hadn't moved. And we didn't get into the house until 9 o'clock at night instead of noon, as we were supposed to. And yet this farm has been just amazing. In the end, we realized how fortunate we were to get it, because so many people wanted to purchase it, but she was so difficult to work with that that's the reason that they walked away, and that we got it as we did, and that we could afford it, actually, because otherwise we couldn't have. Was there anything in your life like that, something important that felt difficult, that felt vulnerable, and how did you handle it? How did it turn out? I'd just like you to think about that for a moment. So, even as I was thinking about all of these things and just how calm I am this time, and Higgs is talking about moving up the election, and it's okay if he does, and we'll deal with it. It'll just be sooner, that's all. I got thinking about the Latin phrase carpe diem, which means seize the day. Some of you have watched Dead Poets Society, and Robin Williams does an excellent depiction and getting his students to do this, to seize the day. What this means is to just make the most of the present moment without worrying too much about the future. And that's easier said than done. But it encourages us as individuals to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us right now, rather than delaying actions or decisions. And so it's often a reminder just to live life fully, embrace the possibilities for each day. It doesn't mean acting recklessly. Instead, it's about embracing opportunities with a clear mind and an open heart, knowing that each moment is a step on our path, even the moments that seem quiet or inconsequential. In fact, Colleen Benelli and I have discussed growth, and how with growth, it's also important that there is contraction, because both of us seem to be constantly growing in the Reiki energy. But if you only grow, pretty soon your foundation can't support you. And so instead, if you grow and then contract a little bit, your foundation solidifies itself underneath you so that you can grow again and have a more solid foundation. Then you contract again, your foundation gets solid again. And this is just, I think these are the ups and downs, Susan, that you mentioned. Now, I also was guided to bring in the concept of Dharma, which is what we do with our life force energy. So today is about using our life force to live fully in order to step into our destiny with calm consideration. And I'm just thinking about how differently this all feels this year than last year because I've done that growing and contracting, and the foundation has grown to support it. And so it doesn't feel so uncomfortable anymore. I also want to talk about the fact that when I talk about destiny or life purpose, this isn't a fixed point. It's a journey that unfolds moment by moment, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. So, how do we know if we're on our life path or purpose? Emotions. Emotional intelligence is something that I've given a lot of thought to, and I've even studied it within my MBA. Emotions, and I studied it with Linda Kohanov's work as well, her beautiful book, Riding Between the Worlds, and some of the workshops that I've done around that and taught around that. And so your emotions are a way for your subconscious to communicate with you. And the emotion joy is the emotion to let you know you're on track for your path and your purpose. And there's also a feeling that it feels just right. It doesn't feel just right at first. At first, there's more of a curiosity. But as you settle into, oh, I think I'm on my path or purpose, after a while, you just have a knowing that it feels right. So, how do we step into this, what is potentially scary, in a calm and considered way? The one thing I want to share with you is that Reiki has never guided me wrong. Anything that it asks me to step into, even though I may initially step back, it's always worked out. And if I can only get through my resistance, then it becomes effortless. So I've begun to learn to apply Reiki to my resistance, my fear, my anxiety. And so, what that's allowed me to do is then make conscious choices which align my actions with my higher purpose, and just to get fear and anxiety out of the equation. And the way I do that is, I guess I explained that earlier, is I do just turn it over to Reiki. I surrender it to Reiki and ask Reiki to help with that. With all of this, say you're going along and you're growing and contracting and growing and contracting, then what do you do with the surprises? Like when the person doesn't move out of the house, with a new election rumor. I think that we can also turn the surprises over to Reiki and ask Reiki to help us stay centered, grounded, trusting. When my father-in-law passed, it meant that I actually couldn't not teach the Asian class because so many people had rearranged their schedules for me. And I turned it over to Reiki. I said, Reiki, please help this all work out. And for a moment, for a little while, it looked like it was going to work effortlessly because it looked like the funeral was going to be Thursday and I started teaching Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they moved the funeral to Friday. Looked like the funeral was going to be after I was done teaching. No, the priest wasn't available. It had to be when I was finished teaching. I just said, Reiki, can you handle this? And it did, actually. I finished teaching 15 minutes early and had just enough time to make it to the church. And I wouldn't recommend that. I would have rather not had such a tight schedule, but that was what we were working with. So Reiki did manage it for me, even though it was really difficult. And the class was amazing, and the funeral was lovely, and everything worked out. I also want to mention one more thing, you guys, just the significance of the fact that this is the 8th month of an 8 universal year, and it's a super full moon. So this is a powerful time for us to manifest our intentions and align with our soul's vision. And when I talk about soul's vision, this is the deep inner sense of purpose or direction that aligns with the true essence of our being. It's a guiding force or an intuition that reflects our highest aspirations, values, and the unique path we're supposed to follow in life. This isn't just about goals or ambitions. This is a spiritual or transcendent understanding of what we're called to do or become. So, Susan, I think that's really the message you were getting was this is your soul's vision. This is where the ups and downs are coming from. It's that growth and contraction as you're being prepared to move into that. There's probably going to be a lot of sense of meaning, fulfillment, and contribution to the greater good with that. When we tap into this, we tap into our inner truth, and we can use Reiki, meditation, self-reflection, automatic writing. It's just about listening to our quiet, authentic voice, our higher self within that knows what's really important and guides our actions to align us with that deeper wisdom. So that's where we're going to go today with our meditation. We can set clear intentions using Reiki to amplify our energy, or we can be completely open to whatever Reiki is going to bring us or show us. So I'd like you, as you're doing this, to just remember that undercurrent of love and of Reiki and of universal energy that supports us always. This buoys us, it helps us navigate the most challenging aspects. I want you to remember that we're not alone, and that as we step into this, we can live our truth and embrace our destiny. We can inspire others, just like Marianne Williamson says. We become a beacon for others, showing them that they can live a fuller, more meaningful life as well. So I'd like you to take a moment now, and I'd like you to just think for a moment and write down any intentions that you might have. Also, just as you do your daily self-Reiki, just considering those intentions again, thinking about them again. And then we're going to go in and tap into the truth around them. Okay. So now that you've had an opportunity to just give that a little bit of thought and maybe write down some of your intentions or your thoughts, and it's okay if it's not clear to you, we're going to go into a guided Reiki meditation to just help you tap into your soul's vision with Reiki and align with our destiny. And this will help you center yourself and connect with the wisdom within. So I invite you to go ahead and make yourself comfortable, bringing your hands into Gasho. You can be sitting or lying down. And just allow yourself to completely relax, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, releasing any tension, and breathe. And you can invite any symbols to join you today. Just noticing the Reiki energy flowing through your hands and into your heart. As you bring your awareness into your heart center, the place in the middle of your chest, that soft golden light is filling the space and beginning to glow. And this light represents the love and wisdom of your soul. Place your hands comfortably on your body now, wherever you feel guided, and breathe. Just breathing in the light of Reiki. And as you breathe in, with every in-breath, just notice this light in your chest, in your hearts, expanding. And it expands on every inhale and on every exhale. You just release more of the energies that are no longer relevant to you. Just noticing any stress or worry melting away. leaving you relaxed and centered as your entire chest fills with warmth and calm and peace and Reiki. And I invite you to consider for a moment a goal, a vision, or a sense of destiny that feels true to you, or even if it doesn't feel true. This could be something you've been working toward, or it could be a new direction that's calling out, and it might be clear or unclear. That's all right. I simply invite you now to open your heart and receive your soul's vision around this. Visualize the vision as a seed that exists in your heart, surrounded by and bathed in that golden light. See it growing stronger and more vibrant with every breath that you take, nourished by the love and wisdom of your soul. And now, as you've nourished that seed, you may notice that it begins to glow or even grow. And we allow it to unroll at its own pace. But I invite you to imagine a path unfolding in front of you, leading you toward the realization of this vision. And just notice yourself walking this path with confidence, guided by your inner wisdom and the energy of Reiki. Along the way, there may be surprises, twists and turns you didn't expect, but just notice how you remain calm and grounded, trusting that each and every step is part of your journey and that you're supported by the undercurrent of love that flows beneath it all. Reiki, source, universal energy, love of each other. And I invite you to notice that some of the surprises that initially appeared unwelcome might bring the biggest blessings. As you walk this path, just notice how the golden light within you continues to grow, and that illuminates your way, allowing you to move forward with clarity and purpose. You notice that there's a bench up ahead. I invite you to take a few moments now to go up and rest in this space, absorbing the energy and insights that you've received, knowing you can return to this place of peace and clarity, calm whenever you need to, simply by connecting with that light of your soul and the energy of Reiki. I invite you to listen now with your mind, your heart, your chakras, your emotions, your energy, your ears, your instincts. Just listen to the illumination of your soul's blessing, and we'll remain here for some time. I invite you to remain here as long as you feel guided. And when you feel ready, just to slowly bring your awareness back to the present moment. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, bringing with you the calm, centered energy you've cultivated in this meditation, that connection with that seed of your soul's vision. I invite you to remember that your destiny is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And with the support of Reiki, you can navigate every twist and turn and surprise with grace and with confidence. I invite you to step into living your truth, because when you live authentically and follow your destiny, as Marianne Williamson said, you light the way for others to do the same. And I invite you to take some time to write down what came up for you during the meditation. And you may even wish to start each day asking yourself how you can integrate these insights into your daily life, either in your meditation or maybe by journaling or with automatic writing. I'd like to thank you for being here today, and I'd like to encourage you to share this episode with any others who might benefit from it. And also to go ahead and join us in our Reiki share or invite others to do the same. Thank you for being the beautiful light that you are in the world. I appreciate you. Namaste.